Welcome to today's trade recap. Today is Tuesday, January 20. We ended up taking 3 trades today. So the first trade was a loss. The second trade was a re-entry win, both for 1 mini each. And then we ended up taking a continuation short in the PM session for half risk with some micros that ended up playing out beautifully. Typically speaking, I will not continue to trade after taking my win or loss for the day, but ES left these really clean, perfect 15-minute equal lows right here that are resting above an unfilled gap that I really wanted to see price deliver to, and that's what we ended up doing. So again, works out very nicely. When the draw is that obvious, we get a really clean internal model. I'm going to put a little bit of risk on. Again, plays out. So we will start on the higher time frame, work our way down, walk you through my bias, all that good stuff. So coming in the morning, I was leaning bullish. We are delivering from sell side liquidity, as well as holding this 4-hour bullish gap. From here, we get an inverse to the upside, closing through this hourly bearish gap. This makes our next draw, this next unfilled gap, as well as this London session high. When they're stacked like that, very, very clear draw. As you guys saw in the bias, that was my draw. Unfortunately, market opens and we rip right to it. NQ takes that high first, ES follows, ends up taking London session highs. So this is where I get my first entry from. And the idea here is we have accumulation here, then we drive up, sweep out London session highs, trade into that hourly gap, and then we get a 30-second inversion to the downside here. Here is where we get our entry. And I wanted to see this run down to this original accumulation here and these 2 stacked lows. The only thing I did not like about this entry was our break-even point was that 5-minute intermediate low. So this could have been a higher resistance low, and in that case it was, and we ended up getting stopped out before getting that break-even point. So at this point, we immediately get another reaction from here, and now we have these even more generated lows here, as well as an unfilled 15-minute gap here. So at this point, we have a rebalance play here, right? We're delivering from London session highs and an unfilled hourly gap with an unfilled gap as our target. From here, we get a 1-minute inversion to the downside, and I end up actually front running this gap because we had really nice volume here. So I got my entry before this candle closed. Little bit of random ball knowledge, but a lot of times you'll see a 1-minute candle open and aggressively move up with no wick. So I ended up getting my entry as this candle opens and wicks higher, and then we end up flipping and getting that inversion to the downside here. And all we're doing here is targeting that unfilled 15-minute gap and these equal lows there, and we end up delivering very nicely. Quick 1-to-1, very, very nice. And then that was it for the AM session. We end up chopping around, and then we rip higher. Kind of not the clearest or cleanest price action today. Definitely some chop. But at this point, I'm off the charts, and then I come back on for the PM session here for those relative equal lows I was talking, or those perfect equal lows I was talking about. And this is what ends up happening here. So again, we trade back to that hourly gap, and then we start getting confirmation to the downside here. We close through this bullish 15-minute gap. So again, that can act as our condition here. If we are going to be bullish, we are likely to hold this 15-minute gap, and this is likely to push us higher if we do want to trade to these stack session highs and end walk. Because I know a lot of people's draws were this, and I liked those draws, but we have to wait for confirmation to those draws. So we get confirmation of the downside closing through those gaps, or this bullish gap here, and now we start printing bearish gaps. And this is another key to this trade here, is what do you notice? We come down to these perfect equal lows, and we generate yet another relative equal low with this. We're 0.75 points away from that low. So this is a very classic sign of liquidity generation. We're coming down to perfect equal lows, generate yet another low. From here, we end up trading back to that 15-minute gap. So this 15-minute gap, and again, this 15-minute gap can act as our condition. If we really wanted to be bullish here, we could trade through this. We're going to flip this, and then we'll trade to these, maybe this LR above here. But we end up holding that gap, and we get confirmation to the downside here. MES shows equal highs here. These are not equal highs. ES does not put in an equal high there. Just wanted to clarify that really quick. From here, we get I believe it was just a 1-minute inversion. Yes, so we get a nice 1-minute inversion here. That's where we end up getting our entry. break even at the next internal low, and then we have those equal lows as our target, and we end up flipping and delivering really, really nicely. Beautiful, beautiful delivery. This was, in my opinion, the best trade of the day, or best opportunity of the day. You probably could have caught some shorts up here, but again, I was not on the charts over the lunch hour, and pretty choppy price action there. So that is it for the day for me. If you guys do have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. I will be more than happy to help, and I will catch you guys in the next one.